Should we talk about rejection? A lot of actors have a hard time with rejection, with constantly being not picked for a show or a role. And if that's you, this video will help because I'm going to give you some thoughts on rejection. First thought, everyone in this business gets rejected. Every single person that you know who's famous went through a period where they had 100 or 1,000 rejections and they weren't getting the gigs, and then all of a sudden something clicked or somebody noticed them and then things started to take off. And even people who are famous will often start getting rejected because they're too well known or they're too pigeonholed into one type of role or something like that. The second point is that it's built into the business. If you cannot handle rejection, if you cannot learn to handle rejection, you need to get out of the acting business because you're going to be rejected. It is built into the business because every single role you go out to audition for, there are 10, 50, 100, 1,000. The bigger the role, the more people, sometimes tens of thousands of people trying out for that one role. The odds are stacked against you. There's just no way, no matter how good you are, that you're going to get every role you go out for. It's rarely about you and your performance. When you go into a show, yeah, sure, if you're just starting out, if you're not really that great of an actor, yeah, your performance is what's going to kind of get you cut. And if you can't dance in a dance audition, that's going to get you cut. So sure, you've got to work on your skills and you got to do all that stuff. But if you're going in and you're delivering what you feel is a really solid audition and you're still not getting cast, well, it's not about you. It's not about what you did in the audition. So don't make yourself go crazy trying to think, oh, I could have done this better. I should have picked a different piece or whatever like that. It's rarely about that. It's more about what you look like, how tall you are, how fat you are or thin you are, what your age is. Do you look like the person that they are casting as the daughter? Do you look like the person they're casting as your spouse? Or if you are too feminine or too masculine, whatever the case may be, you might remind a director of their ex-girlfriend. You might remind them of their mother and they don't have a good relationship with their mother. There could be all sorts of reasons. They could just have not paid attention to you while they were auditioning because they just saw 30 people in a row and you did the piece that 30 other people did. Those are all factors that you have no control over, and you got to not knock yourself out. When you get rejected, there's almost always a reason for it. And sometimes perspective and time and sitting on it a little while will give you the perspective to realize why you were rejected. And sometimes realizing that the reasons why you probably didn't get cast helps you absorb rejection a lot better the next time. So for instance, you might go see a show that you got rejected from, and then you'll see like, oh, that person that they cast in that role was really amazing and totally different than me. And so they were going for that and I didn't stand a chance, right? Or you might see that the show was terrible and you dodged a bullet. Or you might see that something significant happened in your life, or maybe even a better role came along, and that if you had gotten that role, you would not have gotten this other opportunity, or you might not have met your spouse on that trip or whatever, or even something negative could happen. Maybe you get sick from something, and if you had been in that show, you would have had a hard time getting through it. So perspective and timing makes you realize in the whole universal thing, the whole thing that we all share in this universal world is like, there's reasons why we don't get casts. And knowing kind of after the fact, hindsight is 20/20, right? You learn why you didn't get cast. When you get rejected, you need to think of it as a celebration of the work that you did. You put yourself out there, you showed up, you memorized a piece, or you learned a new song or something like that. You gave a performance, you delivered a performance as your audition, and so you should celebrate that regardless of the outcome. It means you're working, it means you're moving, it means you're trying, it means you're putting yourself out there and continually improving. And that brings me to another point. If you find that you're getting rejected over and over and over and over and over again, and you're just not having any callbacks or any luck, and it happens to all of us. There's certain theaters that I've auditioned for 30 years and never gotten a callback. At a certain point, you have to say, there's either something I'm not doing right, or something that, maybe it's your reputation that precedes you. Maybe you've worked with somebody there, they just don't like you for some reason. You don't want to get stuck in that mindset either, but maybe that's the case. Maybe it's somebody's talking dirt about you, or maybe it's you're just not hitting that skill level you need to be, and you need to put more time into training, or you're not choosing the right material and maybe you need a second person to come in and reevaluate your pieces that you're bringing in for those auditions, or the way you tackle things. Maybe your self-tape setup isn't doing things the way that they're expected or standardized, so you need to beef up your self-tape routine. So there's lots of reasons that are in your control of why you might be rejected. And the only way you can know that is by being rejected many, many, many times and going like, what am I doing wrong, right? Why am I not getting these roles? But you'll find over time, I guarantee, that if you continually improve and you continually just sort of make adjustments, eventually you're going to start getting cast. And when you get cast, you'll start getting rejected fewer and fewer times, because the people that you work with will want to work with you again. And then you'll kind of have an inside. You'll kind of be invited to auditions and things like that. And you will eventually discover that you're doing all right, right? The other thing about rejection is that the older you get, the more you stick in this business, the easier it is for rejection to roll off. I remember when I first started auditioning in high school, I auditioned for the play Arsenic and Old Lace, and I really wanted that part with the guy with the scar face, the villain kind of guy, and I was up for it. But I kind of felt like I wasn't going to get it. But I prayed, and I'm not a religious person, but I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and I still didn't get the role. And it was kind of heartbreaking. But I got another role instead, and I had a lot of fun playing that. And then I realized, like, who cares? It was just a high school production. But at the time, it seemed so important. It seemed so big. Like, oh God, if I don't get this, the whole world's going to come to an end. It's not going to come to an end. There will always be another show. If you can't get a show because you're injured yourself, or they just didn't see you or didn't want to see you and stuff like that, it's fine. They'll do the show again. You'll get another shot. There'll be a better show coming along. Don't fret it out. The longer you stay in this business, the more it's just going to fall off your back. Hey, if you want to know someplace you won't get rejected, if you're an actor and you don't want to get rejected, sign up to join my Facebook group. I promise I won't reject you. If you're in the performing arts whatsoever, you answer those questions at the beginning, I'll put you in the group, and you can meet other like-minded actors and answer all sorts of fun daily questions and get involved in discussions and collaborate and all kinds of things like that. So I want to see you there. All right, I think I'm done.